Okay, so, I thought that this question was interesting from Facebook. If some of you are interviewing with them. Typical execution question. And it could be about any product, but let's try to work on this one, which is Facebook Live, right? And so let's say that, they tell you, hey, you are the PM you just started as a PM for Facebook Live, it's already a product that's out there. What would be your priorities, And so I think that the way to start this, of course, is to think about a structure, how to attack this problem. And so let's work on this together. So the question is, if you're the PM, what are your priorities? For Facebook Live. All right. So who wants to start? Okay, let me start with something obvious, and I'm sure it's going to follow you guys. First of all, I would start with, okay, let's start with what is the product goal? So what is Facebook Live about? And it's if you look at the way they describe it and the way it works, it's a way to connect plus share in the moment. All right, so now I'll ask you, what should we think about then? Because this is kind of like the obvious thing, right? You're starting as a PM. It's like, okay, I sort of know the product, but what's the goal of the product? What is supposed to be doing? What else are you going to be thinking about to see, okay, I know what it's supposed to be doing, what to do next? What am I going to prioritize?
So one way I thought about, sorry, go ahead, please.
No, go ahead, it's fine.
Yeah, one way I was approaching is like, dividing the, from a usage point of view, dividing the reach of the product or the personas of the product to the reach or the impact, right? For example, I had two matrix that I drew up. One was individual users to enterprise, and the impact was it a individual reach versus a large scale reach. That's how I was measuring the impact.
Yeah. So let me ask you one question, and this is Pinaki?
Pinaki.
Yeah. So I think that one of the things that they're going to ask you if you answer that way is going to be like, okay, why did you decide to do that? On what do you base that decision?
Yeah, I was trying to do a market map as to what space is attractive from the. So as you wrote down the objective, right? I was trying to map the market and see what is an attractive sweet spot for the product.
Yeah, but that means that you have already made a decision that you want to grow, this product. And the question is that the right priority? So I think that this requires a different kind of thinking. Okay, so you have to think more strategically. And so let's see somebody else that can answer this, can continue.
So should we be thinking about who the typical users are and how they use Facebook Live today? And also, I would say if we can think about, Facebook's mission and core capabilities, that could also give us an idea in terms of how we need to be looking towards, I don't know, improving or adding capabilities. So, we could derive priorities from there.
And I think that you have a very good point here, which is, where, let's see what others think. When you're talking about, you were talking about the capabilities, what should he have? And my instinct, when I see this question, from the strategy point of view, is thinking about, okay, where are we today with this product? First of all, has it reached its goals? You know, the previous goals. Has it reached, like, if it has some KPIs has this product met those KPIs? If it has not met those KPIs, that gives me a symptom, right? That gives me, okay, it's not doing so well. Where is, you know, it's like taking the temperature. Where is it not doing well, right? And then, you know, starting from there, and then thinking, okay, if it's not doing well in these things, you know, let's find out why. And then come up with a strategy on how to fix that. Overall, you know, and I think it has some elements of what you just mentioned, Artie. But I think you mentioned, you know, talking about the mission of Facebook. I don't know that at this point that it's, because we know the product is already aligned, right? Unless you come and say, hey, there are these things that we need to check about the product. But why would you say, you know, where do you start where do you start analyzing the product to say, we need to check whether it's, you know, the product is aligned with this mission? So why did you say that?
So I mean, I wasn't necessarily thinking on the angles of improving it in the sense of maybe it hasn't reached its KPIs, but assuming it has, and we are now looking for maybe the next step of improvements or enhancements or big jump of change we want to make to the product, there, whatever we do would have to align with, say, Facebook's core capabilities and intent. And that's why I said it.
Yeah, I agree that, but the operative word here is that you said assuming, right? So what should we be doing here is asking ourselves, how's the product doing? Because if it's doing pretty well, then we do what you're saying, right? Then maybe we move on to the next thing and we do improvements and new things. But if it's not doing well at all, then you need to focus on improvement, I think. What do you guys think?
I agree. I agree.
But what if we want to change the direction? I mean,
but in order to change the direction, you need to think about why would you want to change the direction, right? What makes, in which direction, right? So let's say that it's doing pretty well. You know, that actually is number one and it's winning over YouTube.
Right.
And you say, hey,
Marlena, sorry, you know, those who are not speaking, if we can mute, please, because there's noise, background noise.
Okay. So the question is, you know, let's say that it's doing super well, it's number one, okay? And you come in and say, hey, I want to change direction. They're going to ask you why.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's why I think, you know, the first question is like, how are we doing?
Got it. Okay.
Right? If we don't know how we're doing, then I don't know what to do, you know, because if we're doing super great, well, I don't need to improve anything. I need to think about something else, right? But if we're doing super bad, I'm going to focus more on improving what's not working, right? So I think that this question of how are we doing, how's the product doing is sort of like the first one, right? Like if you have a patient, you want to know how the patient is doing in order to assess what else to do. What are thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree with this. I mean, I think that it's a very fundamental question, helps set the tone for the rest of the interview.
Let's say that this is a patient, then what are the things that we're going to ask to find out how we're doing?
I think we should ask, you know, what are the metrics on which it is being evaluated, so that we at least know, like, what is the benchmark, and just in terms of like how is it doing, you know, ask them its performance on those metrics. You know, first establish the metrics, then what has it achieved? You know, what were the goals, and is it hitting the goals or exceeding them or missing them, something, in that regard. Next, I think you can ask them a little more about the product in terms of, I don't know, let me see. Like the goal of the product, I think that you've written, but like, are there any business goals like that?
I think that they're trying for you to tell them what to do, right? So like, so this is the product, what the product is solving.
Yes.
Right? But what is the goal for you for the next phase in terms of the product roadmap?
Right.
I think it's something that you need to come up with. But something that is really obvious to me is, hey, what's the competition doing? How are we doing relative to
Yep.
right? Because we want to know if we're the last one, the first ones, where are we? And what are they doing, right? So the competition.
Yep.
So what is the market share or the position?
Yep.
And, how are they winning?
Yep.
All right. Next.
But Malena, if we ask, is it okay to ask about what the competitive scene is, or would we be sort of expected to have some kind of an idea? I mean, after all,
I think that if you go to Facebook and you don't know like pretty well the top products, features, that looks really bad, right? So I think it's expected that, if you go to the Facebook mobile application and the desktop, you're going to see at the top apps, right? So you should know those really well. As well as if you look at the mobile phone, live is, part of the post, one of those, so you can go live. And also, if you have read the latest news, you will know there is a major initiative, of the CEO, right? They're trying to make that work because he believes it's the new way of people connecting, right? So that would be my answer, right?
Elena, I would also ask like a little bit clarifying question about this product itself. Like myself, I don't know this product as well. Like, is it really a competitor to YouTube, or is it like, Periscope or something that used to be there at one point? How long can you record? How much can you share with other people? What kind of content can you upload?
I see. That would reveal that you don't know the product, right? So at the get-go, you have to say, hey, I don't know the product really well.
Right.
You need to ask this question, right? But I think that my personal take is that you should know the product really well.
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, I mean, because we are practicing, if we get into a situation where we probably know 90% of the product, I think what I would say is I'll try to at least explain, like, hey, this is what I understand about the product, like 3 or 4 main things, and just like clear that out before I go and start designing something.
Yeah,
and then,
that's a good point, to have an agreement on what the product does.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Only one point, I mean, maybe similar to what Himanshu just mentioned. Should we also ask how is the product being used? I mean, is it like the same vision that was launched with, or are people using it in a different way? Is there any point in asking that question? How is the product being used?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know the product that well, yes. Yeah.
No, I know the product, but is it being used with the same intent that it was launched with?
Yeah. Yeah. Would that be a useful question? Let's see.
I think it could find a place in the how is the product doing. Like, you could say that, well, we launched the product with the intent of reaching teenagers, but it's really being used by older people for another use case, and that is why we are not seeing a lot of upside or something. I'm just saying it might be the story behind the numbers.
Okay, so here would be, is it used as intended,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that would be good. Okay, and so of course you talk about your understanding at the beginning, what your understanding of the product is. right? Can somebody describe what the product is?
I'll let others.
No one?
So Facebook Live is basically Snapchat or Instagram stories where you can record anything and share it with people that are following you.
Record anything and mute screen or screen live followers. Yeah, that's basically the main thing. And it also can be stored and it can be placed. Your followers are going to see them on the pages. In general, that's true. Who are the users? Like if you want to go into the product here, who are the users of this?
People who want to share their life, what's going on in that life. They want to maybe share some more rich data as opposed to a text or a picture.
Yeah.
Or people who are, say, at a live event who want to share that experience with their friends and followers.
Yeah, so there's regular people.
Yeah.
Who else is there?
I think celebrities or something.
Okay.
Influencers
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
companies.
Companies, yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Businesses, brands, right?
Yep.
Companies. Cool. Those are the three major ones. Okay. All right. Cool. So we know the product and we know what it does. All right. So, maybe this is a good time to go into details here, but the competition, okay, you guys can mention a few of the competitions here, the companies.
Yeah, I think YouTube comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Maybe Snapchat comes to my mind.
Live, Snapchat.
Instagram stories.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which interesting, right? Because it's cannibalizing this.
It's kind of their own.
Twitch.
Instagram Live, Twitch.
Yeah, Twitch can be.
Periscope, right?
Yeah,
Mixer.
Which one?
Mixer. It's like Twitch, but Microsoft owns them.
Yeah, and nobody uses it, but somebody knows about it.
So these are the top ones, but I think the market leader is YouTube Live. And second one, I think between Snapchat and probably Instagram Live.
Oh yeah, Instagram is doing very well.
Snapchat is losing audience. Okay, so you go into the interview and say, okay, so let me start with understanding, what's the situation with this product. The goal of the product is this. Let me ask some clarifying questions. And you say, is the product used as intended? My understanding that these are the users. And then what I want to find out is how is the product doing? Because in order for me to make a decision of what to prioritize, I need to know how it's doing, if it's doing well or not, and why it's not doing well or why is it not doing so well. And so to do that, you start with one obvious thing is the metrics. Let's see, is it doing well or not? Is it meeting them? If it's not meeting them, which they are not, because the answer is not, they're not meeting I don't think they're meeting the goal because they don't have a lot of audience. Then it's like, okay, what's happening with the competition? Well, the competition is much better at, getting more attention from publishers as well as users. And so you describe here what your thoughts are, right? And then, one assessment would be YouTube Live is number one. Now, what's happening with Instagram Live? What would you say?
I think the influencers are there, or influencers were there all along.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just a more natural platform to go live, whereas Facebook's use case was more around, friends and family, didn't lend itself that much to the influences of the brand story as it did on Instagram. So that's my hypothesis.
And I also think there is a high switching cost from Instagram.
Mhm.
People are not used to it. So from a images media point of view,
Mhm.
people share moments. There's a high switching cost to move out of Instagram. That way.
Yeah. So the weakness is that it's going to be hard for people to switch from Instagram Live to Facebook Live, because it's a natural medium for media.
Yeah.
Um,
I have one more hypothesis. So Facebook does have 2 billion users, but most of them are in the developing world. Whereas Instagram, if you see, has a higher concentration in the developed world. So my hypothesis is such products like Facebook Live take a lot of bandwidth, and that doesn't really work in low bandwidth environments. So I think that might be the case, even if with a better footprint of customers, still you don't get adoption of such products.
but but why is Facebook Live? Let's say in the United States only, right? The question is, hey, we want to be number one. Why aren't we number one? Everybody has good bandwidth and everything.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Well, because Facebook Live isn't like the priority of Facebook, whereas Instagram has very limited interactions that you can do as a user, right? You can upload images, you can interact with other people's posts, but Instagram stories are a main part of Instagram.
Yeah, so you're saying, in Instagram, it's a main feature. In Facebook Live, it's probably an afterthought. Afterthought feature, like not prominent, less prominent feature, right? It's not the focus.
Yeah, I think that's right. And also the way that Facebook gets consumed, like it probably gets consumed a lot more in terms of the news feed, whereby the textual posts and the photographs are a more important component. And video just doesn't lend itself to that type of consumption. Like for example, if I'm browsing in my office, Facebook, on my desktop, and suddenly a video starts up, I mean, that's just is not the experience that I'm expecting. Whereas on Instagram, I am expecting, because it's an app, it's like it's a contained environment.
Interesting thought here. Interesting thought. Yeah. So you're saying, it's sort of, what would we call that with one word?
Yeah, I think user expectation is just different, right? I mean, you just don't expect to, from the consumption side.
Yeah. What would what would you call that? Is there one word for that?
It's a persona. It's a user persona. Maybe it's different.
Yeah.
No, I think that the context is different. Not the
context. Yeah, right. Context.
Yeah.
I would say context. Context is context in which is used.
Yeah.
Is more amenable.
Yeah.
I have one more hypothesis, Elena.
Yeah.
And it could be that with all these privacy concerns surrounding Facebook, there is, which have been more heightened, especially in the last couple of years. So there's more hesitation to leverage it for content like video, right? Which is certainly so much more, I guess, exposing as compared to pure text, right? So engagement from a video standpoint is more limited. That could be another hypothesis.
Okay, that's a good one.
Malina, I want to leave. Yeah.
And let me put what you just said, which is, bad PR already. Okay?
Yeah, one other one I would say is, if you look at Twitter, or if you look at, say, Instagram stories or the Instagram video and such, Instagram Live, these are more like broadcast platforms, whereby one influencer goes and 500 or 5 million people consume it, or YouTube as well. Facebook is more bidirectional, like it's not that much of a broadcast network. So,
like natively not a broadcast medium, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, natively not a broadcast medium. So you don't go on Facebook and just like throw something and, it's more of an engagement platform. You hope to see somebody's, response and then respond back on it. Whereas, Instagram, at least what I know talking to people is they heavily use it to either do self-branding or branding or marketing for their products.
Yeah, yeah. This is you're saying it's a native platform.
Exactly.
For branding.
Exactly.
For branding and influencers.
For influencer and branding.
Yeah, that's right.
Marina, I have one thought after you finish, and you can park the question. Why does Facebook Live need to exist when Instagram itself is a Facebook platform?
That's a good question.
That's a good question. Yeah.
So anybody has an answer for that?
I mean, I would say Facebook has 2 billion users. So Facebook might be thinking this is a way to reach those audiences that would never switch over to Instagram or that are not a good fit for Instagram. Although Instagram by itself has become $1 billion product or a billion people product.
She essentially already answered the question.
I think that, so Himanshu, you're saying again?
Yeah, sorry. I was saying that I think Facebook has a lot more users. So if you launch something like Live, you can hope to get 2 billion or 2.2 or 3 billion people.
Right.
Instagram, has it kind of actually a different use case, and
you can end up, and you can end up cannibalizing one product over the other if you do two products, similar products, for just to capture more users. That's a different, because Instagram, if you look at it, already has the users we are just talking about. It's a question of extending the features of Instagram. So
yeah, I think that the main issue what Himanshu said, which is, Facebook has all kinds of users, right? 2 billion plus. Instagram really has users that are really into photograph and media and all that stuff. More artistic type, right? They're more like into photos. Like I never use Instagram. So it makes sense. Let's go to to have this video on Facebook for the mass audience. Okay, so we are on this. So we have here a lot of strengths that the competition has. Instagram. Okay, so let's go to the next step, which is, okay, so given this analysis, okay, we're saying, hey, Facebook Live really doesn't have the type of audience, the number of, people that are using it and engagement and retention. What should you do? Something that I wanted to put here that also is really important, that I think it's important, is content is weak here. Content is not that good.
So
and I think that what attracts people is content first.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to go where there's a lot of influencers that are really great creators, or whether there is somewhere where they are showing you, like, for example, big sport events, with high quality. And I think that Facebook Live doesn't have that.
And I think there could be a reason why. I mean, maybe the incentives are not aligned. Like if I'm an influencer on Instagram, I probably get a lot more return on my investment of my time on Instagram. Like I attract the right followers who maybe then go and buy my products on a different site, right?
Right.
But on Facebook itself, like it's just like it's too many people. The message gets muddled, and I don't get the ROI.
I agree. So we have these problems that we're seeing. Okay. We have the competition. People are already used to other platforms where they're either first players, or Instagram, where it's more a native platform for influencers and brands and people to spend time watching media. So there's a high cost of switching. They have a bad PR. It's not a platform that is natively for this kind of thing, because it's not a broadcasting platform, and the content is not that good. Okay, so if I were to summarize these problems, how can we summarize them? The problems. I would start with, first of all, but not good content. Content, not so good. Then we say, is it here?
So the guy needs to turn off his mic.
Content is bad, audience go somewhere else, right? Audience go to competitors. So here we have like low, what do you call this? Low adoption, right? Low adoption.
Yeah.
That's the main problem. So in two things, bad content, low adoption. And how can we fix this?
Hey man, how's it going?
So,
And Malina, is it like when you say content, is there also a question of which users we want to attract on the platform? Like, are you going to stay with individual users, or we have to create some incentives for businesses to come in?
yeah, that's a good thought. It's let's look at that, right? Because that's part of thinking about how am I going to make this better.
Right.
What you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So let's move into the how to make this better. Okay, so what are the things that how to solve it? In general, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, I think range of options in my mind, targeted to a new set of users. If you're not getting adoption from those influencer types, maybe target pivot.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to do this a little bit more structured and thinking about who the creators and the consumers.
Yes. Yep.
And from the creators and consumer side. So let's put here. Okay, let's go into another screen here. Let's see. All right, so
What's that?
Blowing me out.
Yeah. It's not good.
Yeah.
all right. So now let's talk about the users. And I'm gonna say, okay, so we have a creator type and we have a consumer type. And we mentioned before that on the creator part, we have, the influencers. I'm putting here celebrities here. We have brands. And we have, just regular people.
Mm-hmm.
And here, consumer, we have people. Right? And all right, so let's look at now. Start thinking about solutions in terms of our goal is to, let's put our goal here. What's our goal? I would say increase quality of content. I mean, or the attractiveness, right? To user. And also, adoption. So with that in mind, let's focus on this and say, okay, these are the users. What do they want, right? If we give
relevant information or relevant content.
Relevant content. Now, how would you describe this consumer that likes to watch these things that are live, like in in real time.
They're your friends or family or coworkers.
And where are they doing this? Where and when?
On their phone and on their computers, probably after work.
So where, when, and why?
To share some experience.
To share. You mean, no, but you're consuming something. Are you consuming it to share? Like,
yeah, I think that's the question. Yeah.
Is it?
I mean, is it also consuming the information? Like they want something, is not just sharing?
I mean, usually the go. So if you look at the consumer angle, right, the regular people, if they are posting, they're typically posting to share something that they are experiencing with their network.
Yeah,
and,
but we're looking at the consumer side right now, right? So focus on the consuming.
So if they go on.
First. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's for entertainment and for killing the time. And sometimes you want some of the information from the brands like promotions or some of the offline event.
They want, I'm sorry, what was the second one?
The second one is for some updates or promotions from the brand.
Updates, yeah. Updates
And
from,
you know,
brands.
Rather than killing time, I would say more, being part of the experience. Somehow I go back to the experience, because even from the consumer side, the reason I would spend time to watch a video that my friend has posted is maybe the friend is attending a wedding and I'm remote, I'm not able to attend. I can watch it and, be transported to that place. So it's again sharing the experience, rather reliving the experience or whatever, right?
Be part.
Being part of the experience, exactly.
Part of the experience, but we can say that about everything, right, that they have, but it's actually be part of the immediate experience, I think.
That's right.
That is happening right now. And the reason why this is exhilarating, why it's exciting, I think, is somebody's doing this right now as I am here, It's like sort of exciting to share that, I think, to see that, right? Like I was watching just now, I was clicking on Peru, where I'm from, and there was somebody just broadcasting people in the gym doing some salsa aerobics. That was fun. I didn't think that was fun, but I didn't think that I would think that was fun, but it was exhilarating because it was happening at this moment. Right, I think that's it, right? Like be part of the experience. Killing time definitely is one, right? But I think this is what Facebook wants to be in this live thing, because the experience is immediate and there's some kind of excitement about it, right? Okay, so what else? Let's go into, yeah, and we can put several examples of this, right? Be part of the immediate experience. For that, you can think of, for example, big games like soccer or football or whatever is happening, in your community, or it could be like maybe fashion or culture events or the opening of a new movie, all those kinds of things, right? Let's go into the creators. Why are they using? Why would they use this medium?
They have some sort of influence out there that they want to share part of, I would think.
Right, but the what they want to do is probably sell something, right?
So it's
Yeah.
it's an advertising
Advertising,
maybe channel.
a channel, brand channel, right? Brand medium, branding. You know.
They want to see how many people care about what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Maybe what you're saying is they want to get statistics, or that, I think, marketing. What would you call that? Like market insights. Here a number of people aware of their brand, of how they feel, right?
Attention.
Yeah, awareness. Maybe they have a campaign, right? All right. And what's important to them, I think, if you look at brands and publishers, to them it's really important that their content is associated also, with good stuff. And they want to target the right targets, right? For them, it's like targeting the right audience is important, right? As well as, reputation, right? All right. So what is first here? When you're thinking about this, is content first and audience second, or is audience first and content second?
I think both are equally important, no? Because this is like a supply and demand thing. So I would say that unless you know that there is a significant weakness on one side, assuming that's not the case, I think we could look at something in either buckets, maybe, unless we make an assumption that we know the consumer side is the one that is terribly weak or something.
Yeah. So like in the supply and demand markets, like for example Uber, right? Having the drivers is the most important thing for them.
I think you're right.
Without drivers, users won't be there. And I think similar with the content. Okay, go ahead.
No, I think you're right. I think even as an anecdotal example with Uber, when they start in any new city, they would just hire all the black drivers and make that supply available on their network, even if there is zero demand. And then they try to attract the demand. So when they seed a market, a new city, that's how they do it. So any two-sided marketplace, I think you should start with the supply side.
Yeah. So I think that if I were the PM, I would come in here saying, you know what, we have both problems here, content and audience. But I want to start with content.
Yep.
Without content, you cannot attract people. So, and then we go into audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
But isn't that applicable if you're starting from scratch, which is not the case here? I'm just curious.
I think this is almost like that, starting from scratch. If you look at what they have, if you look at Facebook Live, it's like what they have is like somebody that's doing her nails and showing that on live, right? I mean, that's not interesting, right? So I don't think that they have the content to attract people, right? What are thoughts about it?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even if you are in the middle of the life, like even if you have some supply and some demand, if you want to grow this thing, you have to go where the bigger problem is. Intuitively, that is the supply. Unless, we are missing something completely.
Mm-hmm. So let's say that we want to increase the quality of the content, the amount of content, which means we need to convince these people, especially influencers, creators and brands to post,
Yep.
to do live contents? How do we do that?
I think find out where they are. I mean, if they are on Twitter or Instagram or other places, ask them to cross post, like to start with.
So what do you offer? What do you offer in return?
I mean, you offer them better ROI. Like maybe you have to pay them to bring them here. Start with. So basically,
partner with influencers.
Yeah, partner with influencers. Just ask them to cross post, and the value that they see is this is a huge platform potentially. But to start with, you'll probably have to pay them something to just get them interested. Number two is you can solve the partner's problems, these influencers' problems, by helping them create some of this content. So this content is hard to produce, it's expensive. You can say, you know what, come in my studio, I can help you create this content, make it high quality and upload it to my platform. And initially, you can't tell them that they cannot use this content at some other place. It's not exclusive to you because nobody will sign up. But you can slowly and slowly, you can make it more exclusive to your platform.
I think helping them build an audience would be really helpful because if they are creating content, even if it's high quality content and no one's watching it, then they're less likely to continue using Facebook Live. They'll move on to something where they are getting traction and can have metrics.
That's a very good thought. And, ideas on how to do that, Yaprak, like maybe bringing people from other properties of Facebook into live. How do you envision that?
So one way I would go about it, if I was Facebook, I would maybe promote like a certain creator when they're live to help them get more followers and people viewing their streams. Or, like within their own following base, I would promote that they're going live. Push notifications is one way of doing it too.
I think that's really nice. I would also say that Facebook already has a very targeting platform. So in terms of their ads, so you could say, well, I'm a content creator targeting teens. Could you help me connect with them when I'm, about to post or about to go live? So the same ad targeting mechanism could be used by these influencers to create a following in the first place.
Okay, so
there's also, I think Facebook can provide some data insights about what is trendy, like some topics or some news, or some analysis about their followers, like about the fans of this KOL and what's their interested topic. In that way, it helps the influencer to like set some topic of their live content.
There's also Facebook pages, so celebrities have their own pages. So when people sign up for certain pages, having a guide on Facebook Live and the use of it and promoting it that way as well.
Yeah, they already have that. They already have that guide.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a different thought, Mazin. I think we are probably all talking about Facebook the way it is today.
Yeah.
We also think about what is missing in all the other platforms we are looking at, right? So I think, for example, if you take YouTube or Periscope or any of the competitors we have spoken so far, nobody gives a visual of what is happening exactly around you, which is in your neighborhood, for example, which is the place we live in, right? If Facebook can create a means of live streaming things happening exactly where you are, more localized content, I think that will attract the users who are connected to it. Because end of the day, we are trying to attract user-to-user connectivity, right?
Oh, I see. So yeah, but the problem is that how do you make people actually broadcast, right? So this is what we're trying to how do you enable people? The thing is the following: not any content is going to be valuable, right? I mean, nobody will care if you're walking your dog. That's usually what happens around my neighborhood, right? Unless you are in the center of like Manhattan, and and there are all these shows and things that are going on, right? But it's not going to happen everywhere. So I think that the issue here, I see what you're saying, but even if there are a lot of people streaming stuff from your local neighborhood, would you care? Right? Because the problem is not that there are many videos that that there are videos. The problem is that they're not good quality videos, good videos that people would actually love to see.
I mean, on that question,
I'm finding it hard to get convinced that, let's say, whatever is happening in my life, why should I move away from YouTube into this one? That differentiation has to be created by the content.
YouTube has incredible content. That's why YouTube has a lot of audience.
I think we can solve this problem by saying that Facebook could hire people who go to interesting places like live match or something and become content capturers or content creators for them. So I could just hire an army of people who I pay to go and capture these amazing moments around the world and just start uploading these live. Or I would, I mean, related to that point is some of this content does not really need to be live also. It could be, content that is recorded in the last 24 hours or so, so that it's still fresh. But, you can only have so much live content, right?
Record any events. Record, it could be asynchronous.
Yeah,
that's a really great idea. Hey, I know what events are going to be tomorrow or whatever.
Exactly.
Go there and start broadcasting.
Exactly.
Great thought. Okay. Anything more?
Yeah, I don't know who mentioned that, Pinaki, I think, on, things happening in my neighborhood. Expanding on what Himanshu said, right? If there was some way we could incentivize people to, post if they see, say, suspicious things that they see in their neighborhood, that I think would be extremely valuable to my followers, assuming a large part of the followers are in and around the vicinity where I am. Maybe not all, but possibly a few at least. So something like that would be very beneficial. From a content creator's perspective, maybe there is some incentive tied to, to post on Facebook Live, but I'm also benefiting the engagement side of the house here.
I guess I can see that appeal. Neighborhood watch is some like for safety, right? And things like that are happening, or maybe a car broke down, or things like that. That would be interesting to know, right? Especially if you are getting out of the house or something like that.
I think I want to go back to Pinaki's point, like in terms of how do we differentiate? So all of these things we're talking about are easy to copy by even Facebook, by YouTube. Like, let's maybe think about what strength does Facebook have, and also where the kind of like the market is going in terms of either say devices or other trends that Facebook could leverage and say, well, I could not capture what YouTube is capturing today, but I can still capture this overall TAM, right? The unrealized portion of this TAM.
They're already doing that with VR, which is a problem too for them, because for
Oculus,
for Facebook Live, because they're having live events on VR, which is called VR. What's the name? It's Oculus events.
That's something what I was thinking. Like maybe that, or even like there are so many esports going on today. So Facebook Live could say, okay, I'll become not like Twitch, but I'll kind of like enter this market. So these are not real places, not real events, but these are events that happen in the game space.
Actually, Oculus events are real.
Oh, these are real events. Okay, got it.
I mean, the great thing about it, I actually want to get one of those Oculus things, because they're going to be broadcasting real NBA games and real shows, comedy shows and everything. And you can put on the Oculus, you're seeing the real thing happening. Then the audience are like, synthesized audience, right? They're just like avatars. But the experience, you're sensing the experience with a, synthetic audience, but seemingly it's amazing.
Okay, got it.
And on one last thought, Malina, is from a business point of view, House has this model, right, where you buy stuff, how it fits into your life, where you are. I think that might be a good incentive for Facebook, given it has the platform Facebook Live, so that it can make the customers also sticky and the businesses come into that platform. Like you're going to buy a sofa, how does it look into your house?
Repeat that, Pinaki.
So let's say if you're buying a sofa, how does it look into your room, right? Facebook Live can simulate the same thing like that House has, kind of. So that way it can be a sticky for business and the consumer.
I think that the one thing that I will have with that is that it's very, it's a particular application, right, that you're talking about, a particular use case of how good a furniture would look in your house, right?
Similar,
I think, I take your point. It seemed a little bit to me too narrow to be a solution.
One thing I can think of, Malena, is how Facebook offers events now, right? You know what events are happening in and around your area.
Right.
But if we can enhance that with Facebook Live, and what I'm thinking about is something on the lines of possibly, so sometimes when I see an event, I am, what I read sounds interesting, but I don't really know if it'll be as good if I actually paid the money, bought the tickets to it, went there, and then I feel, oh, this was actually not worth. But if I could enhance that with a Facebook Live, where I'm almost able to, I don't know, do a panoramic view of, if it's a garden, I can sort of see the garden. Oh, yes, this is really beautiful, and I should buy the tickets, or no, it doesn't seem as beautiful as the text makes it read. I don't know. That could be one way of enhancing events and enhancing the engagement with Facebook Live.
Yeah, I think it's a really great idea. I don't know if they already have that, but it's a really good.
So Snapchat does this. Does anyone use this on Snapchat? Where you can there's a map and then you can click on anything you want and then you just kind of get an idea of what people are posting. So it's very impersonal from what Facebook does, because Facebook is all about interacting with people that right? Like your friend groups.
Facebook Live has a similar interface. So they show you a map and the dots that, the diameters change in terms of how many people are watching. And so you can just click on, on one of the dots and see what's happening. So similar to Snapchat and stories. Everybody copies each other, I suppose. But anyways, it seems like any other thought in which we can make this experience much more different than the competitors to attract content creators.
Maybe how about Facebook partnering with nonprofits, because people care a lot about charities. And so if Facebook helps create content for the nonprofits, it serves the benefit of putting a good name on Facebook and also promoting awareness for nonprofits itself.
I think that would be the experience of one-stop solution for the celebrities, because they may have live on Snapchat and they have Facebook pages and they have other Instagram channels, but for the fans, they may be scattered. So if Facebook have Facebook Live in combination with other products, so on the Facebook page, the fans can have the whole feeling of all the activities of the celebrity.
But that already exists, right? So you can have a page and actually you can post from your page live, and so that your followers can follow. I think that's the way it functions today. But I was thinking more in terms of an idea that's out there, right? That is completely different. Well, certainly monetization is a big deal. I think that they should have better ways for the creators to monetize, their content. But beyond that, what else?
I think they just need to kind of jumpstart this platform with a bunch of content. I think how we get the content or who we hire, what the incentives are, I think we can play with those levers.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a critical mass of content that they need to just kind of like seed this thing, and that's just like missing.
I think it's jumpstart. They need to do that for sure.
So Facebook knows a lot about us, right? Facebook knows what TV shows we like, what music we listen to. So what if because we like certain pages or whatever, it shows us, like I really like this one TV show. So every time that the account owner goes live, then I get alerted as a user. So then I guess it's more like having better discoverability and matchmaking algorithms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's from the user point of view.
I think what I was thinking, Malena, is I think Facebook, of course, has all of our data and everything, all our pictures. They used to make these collages that they would share with you on your birthday or whatnot. So I'm thinking that is, in a way, it's a video, right? They're trying to create a video from your profile pictures or from your friends. And they could basically create that for every one of us and ask us for permission, or maybe they don't even ask our permission, and just say, hey, do you want to go live with this video? So that you start kind of like they democratize the process of becoming a creator and making it so easy that just with one click, you become a creator, or you start putting out this amazing.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, perhaps at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I think that it will only work once, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it will work as a
sustainable.
Strategy. Yeah. Well, I think we have good ideas here. I think that the one that's really important is this one, Jumpstart. I think to make a differentiator and help influencers create content somehow and promote the creators. That's really good one. Analytics, see if they can provide better analytics. Perhaps share some of their insights with creators that other companies don't. Like that would be a good one. But yeah, overall, I think that the idea of answering this question is really the most important part is the structure, right? And so going back to the structure is, well, first of all, talk about the product, make sure you are in agreement with the interviewer of what it does, what is the goal. The second one is, well, what is wrong today with the product? You need to first find out what is wrong in order then to figure out what to do, right? So metrics, the competition, and we talk about the product features that it has today, and then from then on you can evaluate what to do next. We decided to focus on the content side of things because there's just not enough content, and supply is first before demand in these two-sided markets. And then you go into brainstorming. Okay, content. What can we do to attract the creators, on the platform? So that's, to me, the sort of like the most important part of this question is the structure. Right? All right. Any other more inputs?
No, thank you. Thank you, Malena.
Thanks.
Right. I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.